Data's head is found in a cave in San Francisco.
How? Wait, hold on. Okay.
Captain's Pod, Stardate 224322.1. Hello and welcome aboard the Starship's Enterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take a brief shore leave from the world of CinemaSins to explore the universe of Star Trek. I'm your Captain Ian. I'm not doing it again. I'm your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me, as always, is the Isolinear Ambassador Deneé Hughes.
Isolinear?
Isolinear.
That seems really limiting.
Wait, what? Why? Because you're linear?
Yeah.
You're the least linear person I've met.
Wait, so what is isolinear in the world of Star Trek?
They are fancy USB chips. So isolinear chips are like
what Data was stored in?
It could have been, but you remember, grab your memory banks, ironically, grab your isolinear chips. In an episode we watched where all of the cowboy stuff was happening.
Yeah.
Geordie pulls apart one of the pads that isn't working and then pulls out one of these little fluorescent green rods.
Okay.
And that is the memory recall stuff. So that holds a lot of information on it. So they're like USB sticks, thumb drives, but in the future.
Cool.
This week we're going to be talking about Season 2, Episode 4 of Star Trek Picard, titled Watcher. Which gets me really excited because that makes me think we're not going to have to wait until episode 9 to work out who the Watcher is. We're going to get some stuff dropped on us pretty soon.
Can you imagine? Spending the entire rest of the season waiting to find out who the Watcher is, and then all of it crammed into the finale?
Yeah, and it turns out to be Data again.
I'm glad that they're moving things along quickly. I think that's one of the things that they do that's really brave in Picard. In this season, we're not waiting a really long time to discover information, which just makes me think that they have a lot in store, and I'm excited for it.
I'm super excited.
Did we see them do a lot of time travel, into other eras when we were watching the preview, the trailer? Or do you think we've seen everything from the trailer already?
We saw them in LA. There is one character that appeared in the trailer that hasn't appeared yet, played by Brent Spiner, the same actor that plays Data. So a relative of the man that created Data will appear in this show.
Okay.
But we haven't seen... There's the Romulan in the forest that we haven't seen yet. There's the little boy that we haven't seen yet.
You mean Little Picard? We saw him.
I don't know, we did see him.
But I don't think that we've seen him running like we
when we saw him in the trailer. Yeah,
I remember him running more.
Yeah. So there's still stuff we haven't seen in the trailer.
I'm curious if they're going to do more time travel and then still be off a little bit.
I think they have to. I think that there has to be some more time travel because Picard's youngerness would be 2300-ish. No, not even. It would be 2320, something like that.
So he's
when he was a little boy.
4 years old?
Yeah,
in
roughly.
The timeline that they're in right now?
Yes, if the change hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
They've still got to stop the change to get that history. Well, either way, Picard is born at the same time.
Picard, come in,
No,
Picard.
he's not. No. I mean, they're going to have to travel forward if we're going to see him as a little boy.
Oh.
Unless this is all flashbacks.
Oh, yeah. I'm getting confused about what time we're in.
So we started in 2400.
Okay.
We've gone back to 2024.
Okay.
But Picard's flashbacks to being a child would be 2320.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Ish. Very roughly.
I am not going to hold you accountable for that. Don't worry.
No, I want to get my dates right.
Well, of course you do, because you're a nerd.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. Last week we left Rios has been captured by the immigration police, which is a weird sentence I didn't think I'd be saying in this series. Raffi and Seven are looking for the Watcher and may have found them. Agnes has pissed off and impressed the Borg Queen, and Picard is present.
And Elnor is dead.
I forgot about that.
True to form.
Oh no!
We have once again forgotten about Elnor.
Is forgotten. So it looks like we're going to find the Watcher. I predict that Soji will be back this week.
Is she the Watcher?
Could be. But I think we'll.
You think she's going to be back this week?
Yeah, I think we're going to see her.
That'd be nice.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah, how would that? Because she'd have to come through some other time travel situation.
Yeah, well, Q. I think we're going to get a bit more Q this week as well. I think we're going to get some sassy Q.
Mm-hmm.
I hope.
Mm-hmm.
In other news, we have a Captain's Pod Twitter because there's such an awesome little community on Twitter. So, come and follow us. It's at Captain's Pod CS.
The CS stands for casual sex.
It does not. Wow, it stands for cinnamon substitute. How did you get that so wrong?
I don't know.
With that, take us to 10 forward, quick. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab a drink from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched together. Most important question first. What can Guinan get you from the replicator bar?
I would like a water, please. However, I just have coffee, or I have Ian's. I'm going to call just the remaining. That is not water. That is a soda.
No, I have a bottle of Coke.
You also have what I'm going to call fruit syrup. Just you have a cup of fruit it's now just the liquid at the bottom.
Well, all I have is a raspberry that, because it's hotter than the sun in this recording studio,
so
it's
hot.
Started to decompose. I may still eat it. Tastes good. Anyway, we pick off we pick up where we left off in the 20-something hundreds in the century in the future.
There we are. There's a century, there's a future.
Yeah.
2024?
2024. Yes.
Where the world is going to hell, and aren't we hearing about all of the problems of our society in this episode?
Oh.
We are.
Do we mind?
We are hearing about racism, and we're hearing about class disparity. What else did we cover in this one? I know we've covered like the environmental issues in previous ones. Like they're killing our planet.
Yeah, the emphasis here was mostly on the racial tension and how people in authority specifically abuse their power to exclude and attack people of different races, colours and creeds to them.
And also, those who are wealthy who have enough to make a lot of difference don't, because they keep it for themselves.
Yeah,
that was also mentioned.
Exactly, because people must have more. And isn't that true?
And this episode uses Guinan to really drive that home.
Yes. No, it's... Oh, man, we're all over the place. I don't know where to begin.
Yeah, no. So this is a really interesting episode. Did you like it overall?
Yes, no, I did.
You did? Okay.
This was probably your least favourite of the four.
I'm not enjoying this one as much.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's fair enough.
But I think it's understandable why I'm not enjoying it.
Completely. There's lots of it that didn't work for me, but it's keeping me hooked into the story so well.
No one is going anywhere in this episode.
No.
There's not a lot of momentum, despite some car chases.
Everyone's pretty much where they started at the beginning of the episode, other than Picard, to be honest. This
episode, for me, was definitely more of a character building, a peek into some of the things that they're working through, either individually or as a group. Like it was more of a character building episode rather than an action get us to the next spot.
So in this episode, Picard is sent off to find the Watcher now that we have some coordinates. Rios is still captured. Seven and Raffi drive a car. Agnes and the Queen talk. And that's about it.
Laris shows up and Q shows up again.
Yeah, there we go. Where do you want to begin? So I guess I'm confusing myself because I have my notes on my phone and I never usually do this. So I'm looking between my laptop and my phone and it's confusing the what's out of me. My first note was the zoom in from the forest into La Serena was so freaking cool. It was so good. It has nothing to do with the story or the episode at all, but it was beautiful.
I liked it, but it was confusing for me because until this episode, I didn't understand the history of the manor. So I didn't realize that it was empty.
No, neither did I. Nobody did.
I'm like, they're really close. And for trying not to make a lot of a splash, they're within eyeshot of this mansion. So and now I know it's empty, so it doesn't matter.
It's all okay because Picard knew it was empty during this time frame as well. So suddenly the stuff that happened in episode 3 makes more sense, which is always going to happen when you do this.
I would be curious if the people who created the show had enough forethought to, if there was an opening sweep overview shot of the Picard manor in like episode 1, if there's this swath of trees that has less growth than the ones around it.
So that'll be like a Back to the Future thing. When the first time Marty travels through time, it starts at Twin Pine Mall. But when he travels into the past, he drives into a tree. And when he goes back to the future, it's called Lone Pine Mall because there's now only one tree because it was run over by him when he went to the past. It would be beautiful if they did that.
I don't remember if there was an overhead shot of his property.
There has been, definitely, but I don't know about that specific bit of woods.
It would be hard because it's like 400 years, so it's still a lot of time to plant some more trees and stuff, but it would just be really interesting because there is a massive chunk of property that is just wiped out.
Just ruined.
And when the Picard family returns and they're like going around the land, you've got to know that they get to that section where all of the lumber is just completely destroyed. Like, was there a meteor over here? Yes. What happened?
So, and with this type of time travel, it's not like Picard can say, that makes sense. In the Picard history books, they said that there was an odd bit of clearing that had been cleared, but we can't have that because in this type of time travel, this hasn't happened yet.
Right.
The time travel in this episode has cemented how little the time travel makes sense in Picard. There are some there's some big Guinan issues that I want to talk about in ReSINstance. That's going to be
a big portion
and you're
of
going to get a Guinan history lesson as well.
I'm excited about that, actually.
They either retcon some stuff or they don't care. Or both. It's Star Trek. One quick little bit of nerding out is that, I just wiggled because I was so excited. When La Sirena cloaks and goes invisible, there is the tiniest wiggle of a whine that kind of goes, and the pitch and tone is exactly the same as the Klingon cloaking noise from the original series films. So when those ships cloak, it was like deafening, and it was, even though there's no noise in space, whenever somebody would say Klingon ship decloaking, it would make this deafening noise, and it was so eerie and put you on edge. And I was like, yes! I don't know why the humans have it, but great.
Whoa, that's really interesting.
I just love those little touches and nods. It's like can somebody send me over like all of the audio files from the original films, and we're going to slip them in wherever we can.
And it gives you that nostalgia boost.
It's so good.
There wasn't really a lot of nostalgia for me in this one. Maybe that's part of why it hits different.
Yeah, no, I agree. There is the references are deep cuts. So we're going to jump into two references because let's just get all of that stuff out of the way because it has nothing to do with the plot. Agnes refers to Picard as Dixon Hill when he solves you said 15 here and 15 there and 15 there. And Dixon Hill is a fictional detective in the Star Trek universe, and it's Picard's favourite detective. And he has some like hologram programs that are based on it. So that was cool. One nod, which was pretty cool. The other one, I lost my shit, and I think most of the listeners, specifically of this podcast, will have lost their shit as well. You remember when I said that Spock got sworn at by a punk when they were on a bus in the one with whales?
Yeah.
It's the same punk.
Stop it.
The same actor. It's the same punk. So he's listening to music. Spock says, "Can you please turn it down?" He gives him the finger, and Spock does the neck pinch. This time round, Seven's like, "Can you turn it down?" And the punk like kind of twitches and reaches for his neck and goes, "Yeah, no, sure. Yeah. I'll just turn the music down. I just like this song."
He was really apologetic.
It's the same guy.
That's a really interesting thing because I was confused by that, which I think I probably would have sinned, which would have been revoked.
Yeah, because it doesn't push the story forward at all. It's just a reference.
Not that. Why are we doing boomboxes in 2024 was my thing. Like, so this is clearly a guy who's just loves his boombox.
He's holding on to the past, and he is still riding the same damn bus. This
same
guy
hair?
Same. I think it's a different color.
Okay.
I'll show you a picture of it. But as soon as, I'm not lying, when I looked at the bus, I was like, they're going to take a bus and the punk is going to be on there. And the punk isn't there, and it's so good.
I'm glad you like it so much. It's also
so dumb. It's so dumb.
No, it's great because you have this character story. You have this character art where like this person had this thing happen and was a jerk, so he's learned his lesson. I mean, why play a boombox anyway?
If you're so willing to turn it down,
but you know, it's so good. Because you know
great.
that people who ride that bus every day are used to this guy.
It's that guy again, the one that passed out randomly in 1984.
But ever since, he's just like the nice guy who always turns it down if you ask. So no one asks him anymore because he's so nice about it.
It's the character redemption I never thought we would get in Picard that I've been crying out for.
Oh, I love that for you guys.
It is beautiful.
That's incredible.
It's so great. And we just talked about that punk 2 weeks ago, and for him to appear in Picard, it's... People that are listening to this years in the future are going to be like, nah, they planned that. I was like, nope. I had no idea the punk was going to turn up.
Just to remind you, we just watched it and we walked into the room where we record.
We plan nothing, as is evident by some of the editing in this show. Okay, so we also get a semi-explanation, which I don't think anybody really needed, about why Picard sounds English, I think. Like, when he's explaining...
Oh, like his family, like, escaped to England?
Exactly. So when they're explaining why the mansion is empty, or the chateau, it's because his family during World War II got sent to England. So I guess that explains why he has English links. Sure. I don't know that we ever needed that, but it's always been why does he have an English accent? So I guess he grew up in England as well as France. I guess that's what they're trying to say. And
then they come back to the manor and then they make it into their own at some point in the future.
So, but it's at some point in the future. So I think it's like Picard's grandparents or great-grandparents that do that. But
what a job they had.
Yeah, I know. They had to, like, the big divot in the ground where all the trees had been knocked over. They had to dig that up and fix it and make sure that 15 was everywhere in the house.
How much vinage needed to be removed from the exterior of the home.
Exactly.
So much scaffolding.
Oh man, I just reread my punk notes.
Actually, at 400 years in the future, it's probably more like little machines would just go out and do that stuff for them.
Yeah, they had assistants to
do
it.
What were your punk notes though?
Oh, it was exclamation marks. The punk from the one with the whales. I can't believe it. Nobody will believe me. So great. So I almost want to entirely save this for ReSINstance. Picard is beamed to the coordinates.
In broad daylight.
They say to each other, we don't know where this is going to take you, but we'll save it for ReSInstance. He ends up back at 10 Forward Avenue and speaks to Guinan. And what did you think of all of that, the recasting?
I was curious. Yeah, in my notes, as we've been thinking about like who he could meet, and the character that would kind of mute Q's powers being Guinan.
Yeah, we predicted the Watcher was Guinan.
Fast forward, well, the Watcher isn't Guinan, though.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, correct.
We thought that it was going to be Guinan. Yeah. She's part of it. She knew where the Watcher was, but, you know. I was wondering, too, what they would do because they can't do a lot of de-aging, obviously. So recasting completely makes sense, and... what a beautiful actor to bring in.
She got was this incredible,
like muscular powerhouse, able to emote. You can there's obviously so much that this character has seen, and the way that that's coming out on screen for me was working, and I really enjoyed it. You know, even just the passing off of the dog, and she just got like just a little bit of emotion, and her eyes kind of teared up, and. So I was in for it. It was also interesting to think like if there's an alien living on planet Earth right now, I can understand why they'd be like, yeah, I'm out of here. You know?
Heck yeah. So absolutely.
It's one of those, part of the downer of this episode for me is that it's so close to real life. You know, there's just, it's like, okay, I just don't want to stay in my year too long because I watched this show to escape my year. And so for Guinan to state what she's stating and for me to be able to relate to it with actual news that kills me, like to think about things that have happened just in the last 4 or 5 years of our history that have changed me forever as a person. It's like, oh gosh, that's really, really deep. And I wasn't expecting to be thinking about those things right now. So, however, I'm really glad that it's in this show because I think it's important because I think that they would do a disservice to why an alien would want to leave our planet in 2024. It's not like they're going to be like, oh, they're destroying the planet and things are on fire. Like that's been happening in our environment since, you know, movies have started to be made and content has been able to be watched. There's always that representation of like humans are killing the planet they're on. That's always there. Yeah. But what we haven't had is some of the really intense like hatred stuff and a lot of the division of our humanity. And so this is putting Picard as that hope voice, which of course we love. So he's like, change always happens after you think it should happen, and don't give up on humanity. And he's kind of being that voice of hope, which I really loved. and then just the juxtaposition of it being Guinan was really cool. So I not only like the casting, but I like what they were kind of doing with that character and her motivation for packing up shop.
Yeah, and Star Trek has always been the allegory, or has always had stories with allegories for oppression and this kind of stuff. But this isn't a metaphor. This is just saying, hey, this is you right now. And I didn't have a problem with that being on screen at all and how they did it. I like that there wasn't any metaphor for it. It was just like, look, we need to stop beating around the bush. This shit is happening right now and it's pretty disgusting.
It made me be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be drinking like a latte right now. I feel like I should be like a rum and coke or something.
It's pretty miserable.
Because it got really heavy.
So the actor that plays Guinan is Ito Agira. Apologies if I get any of that pronunciation wrong. She's absolutely brilliant. And there's a couple of lines that just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like Picard is being very sincere and saying, you need to stay around, you need to stay here and give us a chance. And she says, yeah, well, it's easy to say that when you look like you. Like this is just once again the old white guy preaching and being so disconnected from the problems, both time, space, and just experience, to be saying, give us a chance. It's like, no, you don't get to say that. Was
the second one about the took off a hood
and
put on a suit?
Goodness. All this century did was remove the hood and replace it with a suit. God damn if that's not the truth. And that hit like a ton of bricks. That's powerful.
But the balls to say it.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? The balls to say it. And I'm glad that they did because it needs to be said.
It's insane. Like it's more sinister now because it's embedded itself in society. Like it's easy to spot the ones with the hoods. They're the villains, but man, when they're among us,
it gives me
powerful stuff.
I think Picard followed up that saying like history's darkest moments can be the tipping point of change.
Yes.
And what I really appreciated is that Guinan's character wasn't like, you know what, you're right, white guy, I'm going to do this now. She's just like, yeah, shut up. The only thing that really changed her mind was when he said his name and she's like, oh, fuck. Okay.
For goodness
I
sake.
do know something and now you have to come with me.
I love that so much because this isn't a problem that's going to be solved with one conversation from an old white man.
No.
Like it avoided the white savior thing pretty well. I think it still has some of that, but yeah, the reason she's convinced is because, for fuck's sake.
It's not.
I know this name.
He has that moment after going to see the Watcher and Guinan is told to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Where he kind of has that one last plea with her.
Yeah.
But even still, you can see her hesitate. And obviously we know that they end up meeting together in the future at some point, right? What?
Grumble. That's his ReSINstance.
Oh,
we'll get there.
Okay. But it didn't have that like, you know what, Picard, for you, I will. It didn't have that. And I'm glad because that would have really shifted her. Like, listen, people do things you don't agree with all the time, and you can do a lot of things to try to convince them, that your way is the right way. Yeah. But it's ultimately their choice, and it didn't take her choice away from her.
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
like, this is the reason she decides is because there's clearly something bigger, and it seems to be, I think, Picard's path is one of the paths through history that needs to be protected. As much as Q says, yeah, you don't matter, I think he does matter.
I think he does matter. Also, before we go on from Guinan, can we just talk about that moment when she clenched her jaw and her jaw popped? Like she did muscle, like her masseter.
I missed that entirely.
Good Lord, she's beautiful. Oh
she
my
is.
God.
And I loved how muscular she was. I was like, she's going to kick someone's ass.
It was right before they cut to like the commercial break, how they're kind of set up for commercials.
Yeah.
And she was kind of frustrated and she clenched her jaw and her masseter just pops out. And I was like, oh my God.
Gosh, dang it.
Jeez,
that is an attractive human being.
I cut myself just watching that.
So I think it's an excellent way to bring Guinan back. Excellent casting. She's fantastic. I hope she's in the series a lot more. She's so good. So good. So back on La Sirena. Basically, it's the Queen trying to seduce Agnes. So we have lots of bargaining and I'll do this if you scratch my back, literally because I can't scratch my back, I can't reach it. We'll fix the transporters, but you got to give me something. And this is the Queen sowing the seeds of we're the same and you must join the collective and
loneliness, like playing into the loneliness of it's nice when you're part of a collective because you're not alone.
Lots of euphemisms for submit and give in to me and whatnot. And I hope they're not going to play on that too much more, because we all kind of know where this is going if it keeps heading this way. So
what do you mean we all know? You mean like Agnes is the queen in the future?
Exactly. It's now kind of...
Is that something you saw on Twitter this week? Did a lot of people think that?
No, I've only had one friend message me and say, I think Agnes is the queen. I just... Either we've guessed something we weren't supposed to guess, or it's going to go in a completely different direction, and this is fully misdirection. And the more they lay into that and the more they build in, the more I think, I don't think we've guessed right. I don't know.
Well, and if they're going to bring the Borg queen into the future with them, that means there would be 2 Borg queens, right?
Well, this is always the problem. There's either, because this Borg queen is from the wrong timeline. So as soon as they fix things, in theory, maybe this queen disappears and does a Marty McFly goes invisible. But I guess that's what should happen, because that timeline, it all depends on the type of time travel they're doing. But they can explain it away however they want. Like, we just watched the new Ryan Reynolds film, The Adam Project, and it's like the people from the different timeline hung around exactly as long as the plot needed them to say goodbye and then disappear. Like, it depends how honest the show is going to be with it.
I know what you mean about not wanting to spend too much time with the Borg Queen's motivations, but at the same time, it's a really interesting part of the story for me to have been somebody who's curious about Borg, and listening to how she talks about the collective and everything, and how she's trying to persuade, and how this actor is just killing it as the
She's
Borg
incredible.
Queen. It's so nice to watch.
If anything, I want to spend more time there, because, I mean, Rios says something interesting when he's doing his
honesty moment.
Yeah, his like previously on Picard season 2, and says, we've got a cybernetic robot queen from the future, and I'm pretty sure she's here just to take over humanity. Like, I love it when we get bits like that, because it's like, okay, no, the show knows that we know that there's a double cross happening, which makes me think there's something more complicated happening. So I want to get into her brain and find out what the plan is, but that's the beauty of these types of shows, being able to guess and ponder.
I also really enjoyed more screen time with the 2 of them, with Agnes and Borg Queen. Number one, I think it's playing into your theory that you have.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like they've really kind of designed her to look spider-like. It just seems like she has these little
web
dots along her temple.
That look like the eyes.
That look like eyes a little bit. And then the Borg ship of the future is very spider-looking, because it's got like the 8 legs kind of on the side. So I'm really curious if there's some symbolism that they're going to be getting at. And I don't mind Agnes having a struggle with, in a way, it feels a bit like season 1, where Agnes had something pressed into her mind.
Yeah.
And now here she's had it again. And it's like, okay, this woman is broken and her brain is breaking, and it kind of makes sense that she would be really tempted to have that pain go away in a way, because she had that horrible
I know what you're getting at. Yeah,
shoved into her brain.
Not the premonition.
Wasn't it?
It's called something else. Not invocation. The
involution.
The
admonition.
Ammunition? No, that's it.
Admonition.
Admonition. That's it. Get it? Nailed it.
First try.
My God, it's not like we did 10 hours on the damn thing.
And that was something that she hadn't. That was something she didn't have a choice on. Now this time she did have a choice, and she chose to, go into the whole Borg brain situation.
But it's still super invasive, and you can see that there's a comfort that she's fighting, where, I mean, there's also just the prospect of having all of that Borg knowledge and having all of that information. And Agnes is such like an information nerd. Like, wouldn't it be tempting to do that, especially if you're arrogant enough to think, well, maybe I can be a good Borg.
There was also this wink and nod to that idea when the Queen says it's all how you make them sing. It's not just how you get the army, it's making them want to be your army. And I'm like, so if she is the Borg, if Agnes is the Borg Queen of the future, it's how she's choosing to lead the Borg.
And I took a little bit of an issue with that, because there's much less skill in the way the Borg Queen operates now, how we know it, because all of the Borg are brainwashed and they're remote controlled. They are literally drones. So she doesn't have to convince them of anything. It's just sing and they will sing.
Right. It's how the queen is talking about it that's trying to kind of get her attention. So I can see how, and that's part of the fun for me is Borg Queen is saying really interesting things to get Agnes's attention.
It's the song you choose to make them sing. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I really like that. I'd love more time there. I can tell you where I didn't want more time, and that's with Seven and Raffi. I'm getting really tired of this. Ooh. Why?
I mean, what a cliche after cliche after cliche. Why are we making them fight? Why are we making, everything that they're doing in this episode feels so forced.
So forced, so cliche. I think we should retire car chases unless we have a reason to have one, especially in a damn sci-fi show. It was so lazy. It really feels like, what do we do with Seven and Raffi? Let's have some kind of sitcom cliche argument between them and then an anticlimax where they just get beamed out. It was terrible. I don't know. In an episode in a series that's been packed with so much powerful, good stuff, how can you shift the tone so much and so lazily? And with these two powerful women that are they're incredible. You could do so much with them, and you've paired them off into this cliche nonsense.
I feel like Seven is really intense. Raffi is really intense. Mm-hmm. And it felt like the writers were like, they put them into an overly intense reactive role.
Yeah.
They were both just dialed way over where I feel like they normally are. And then they were switching back and forth really quickly. So Seven is steering Raffi away from the police officers and, saying these calming things, which normally she's the one that's not doing that, but she is now because she realizes the situation. And then Seven is driving clearly
way better than she should.
Well, but also it's not hard to take your foot off the pedal and realize that you can slow down, but she's not. It's just this balls to the wall, pedal to the metal, just dangerous situation. Mm-hmm. And then you've got Raffi yelling, but then also suddenly becoming really calm at the same. It was hard to watch. Mm-hmm. That was hard to watch. I'm glad you didn't enjoy that too, because I was it was really, really bad.
No, I was tired of it last episode. I knew this car chase was in the trailer. In fact, it's one of the reasons so the first full trailer that came out was a lot of people walking around in the sunshine in LA and this driving scene and all of that. And people were like, this looks terrible. This looks like the original series going back in time. This doesn't look good. And then the second trailer is the one that we watched, where it's a lot darker. We get the stuff in the forest and we get a few more starships. I know you can't go back and edit it out, but I wish you could have reshot that because it was the definition of filler. Sorry, didn't enjoy that.
But it didn't need to be, I don't know, it just didn't even need to be written that way. But you're right. Once it's shot, it's shot. To go back and do it all again would be too much. But I've got some sins for that scene, of course.
Well, the biggest issue is they don't know what to do with them because they're doing some information gathering to find the Watcher, which is redundant because they've already found the Watcher back on the ship. So all of this could have been undone if they just waited until they tapped into the Queen. There's no need for Rios to be out there, Seven to be out there, Raffi to be out there. It is super contrived because the cast is a bit too for the show. Sorry. So that swings us into Rios, who also has some powerful moments where the most mustache twirling ICE agent to ever twirl a mustache is there. And I won't go too hard on that because I unfortunately believe and know these people exist. I know he's a caricature, but unfortunately, he is probably out there. He or she is probably out there. They're
really shining the light on some of the ugliest parts of what's happened in this, the last 15, 20 years. And that's, even before there was stuff going on, but we know more about it now, and that there still hasn't been change it's really hard. That's what I'm saying is there's so much of this episode. It's well, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm bummed. This episode bummed me out, honestly.
But that's important. We're supposed to be bummed out. We are.
It is. I just wanted to stay with fun Picard.
Doing all the fun stuff and preaching to people. Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, so he's in a bad spot, and there's a reality to just, if you don't have the right paperwork, you disappear. And so Rios gets to be that character to remind us, and it's an important thing to acknowledge and that it is real and it happens.
Yeah. We do get a little season recap from him, which was really fun. I'm from the future, ship called the Stargazer. Here's everything that's happening. That was quite fun. But the most important thing from that entire series is where he ends up. So he is en route to the Sanctuary District. I've mentioned that before because we know that the Sanctuary Districts are basically where all of immigrants, homeless people, anybody that didn't kind of fit into a box were placed. And it was pitched as, this can be your community and this is where you can live and be happy and prosper and away from all of the people that are more important. And it's where the Bell Riots start. So I'm still thinking that the Bell Riots not starting is where this is all going, and that's the big change that gets scrubbed out or something like that. We find out that the Watchers, or Guinan says that the Watchers are a race of guardians that look after timelines and destiny and whatnot. And Picard is led by a group of creepy, no-eyed people until he sees Laris.
Or who we've been calling Laris.
Yeah, somebody that looks a lot like Laris but without the ears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then was that her in our timeline?
Save that for predictions.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess I was just bringing it up because that's where the episode kind of ends.
And then they open up a time door in the middle of the freaking street.
Middle of nowhere.
No, it wasn't the middle of nowhere. It's like a park, a very, very heavily footed park.
In the middle of open air.
Mm-hmm.
I guess more on the watch. What did you... I guess I'm glad they didn't dangle that for too long. We are getting answers and revelations pretty quickly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're also getting into possession of people. That's cool.
Yep.
We're just taking over the bodies of children.
No consent needed.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm curious what kind of a person alien this is. What kind of a species this is. I don't know what to think about it. I guess it's just we have to kind of wait and see. But obviously, maybe she's been handed over to him to guard him somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Answers may or may not be forthcoming knowing this series.
Then the next episode is titled Answers.
I hope so.
Let's hope.
That would be great. Anything else from the episode?
There was another puppy in this one.
We love puppies. It's a good
I really
puppy.
appreciated that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little type of dog is it?
Pitbull.
Pitbull, thank you. I was going to say bulldog. It's not. It's pitbull. Yeah, it was the goodest little girl. Okay, well.
Yeah, before we go on, so this ends with Q talking to himself and then snapping his fingers and it not working, which I think means that Guinan is nearby. Because she kind of mutes his power, as you said, right? She
has that ability. I'm not sure that it means that. I think it's more part of the overall sickness that Q has.
Okay. What was the book was titled The Pallid Sun. What does that mean something to you as a Trekkie? I
haven't had time to Google it. It didn't jump out. That scene I freaking loved though. For a minute I thought it was Q talking to us. But I think he is talking to us, but through this woman that's reading the book. But yeah, I don't know what the Pallid Sun was in reference to.
I mean, I did a Google search before I came into the studio, and I don't see any book called that.
Interesting.
So I'm like, well, did I write it down wrong?
No,
or
I'm sure it was.
Is it something that's referenced in the world itself? Maybe I want to go back and look at the cover and figure out who the author was.
We see it so much, it has to mean something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And
he had Europa on his jacket, which I think... We also saw something about that on the bus, so there's an event of some kind happening.
Yeah, I've got that in predictions. The Europa advertisement has been in the show enough now that has to play a part in it, without a doubt. Yeah, but I love that. Q losing his powers. It has happened before. The Continuum has stripped Q of his powers for being a meddling son of a bee, and said, you need to learn your lesson and be a human and whatnot. So it's either the Continuum taking his powers away for meddling, or... there is a sickness or something that's limiting his powers. I think it's the latter since we've done the former. But it's fun. Anything with Q, I'm here for it. Anything else? Elnor's dead.
Elnor remains dead.
Yes. Okay, with that, it's time to head to engineering for ReSINstance is Futile. Put the handbrake on, everyone.
Oh my god.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV show is without sin, apart from the ones that have a pointless car chase in them. Okay, I know you've got some stuff Hit me.
But, you already said it, Seven and Rafi. Just in general.
All of that part of the show?
It started off for me, though, that they're on a public bus and they're like talking about jumping back in space, like, just openly and loudly. So for people who are not trying to create butterflies, I think Rios is like, anyway, we traveled back in time. Here we are.
Like, the butterflies, forget that. You're taking out a zoo at the minute of rippling effect.
Not to mention she decided to take a phaser with her, which was kind of funny that, like, yeah, I don't remember having that conversation.
I have no idea how that got here.
Like, her sass is great. I love
I
her
loved
sass.
it when they were at the LAPD station and she just went, I hate everything.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel ya. All of it was terrible. Yeah, we've seen that pretty hard. Just cliche, tropey. Yeah, boring. Laris is in the previously ons, so I was like, ugh. It's so spoilery because there's no reason for her to be in it unless she's going to be in it. So it already preloads you into she's either the watcher or she's a listener or she's in it somehow. I just wish they wouldn't.
Yeah, there were 3 things I wrote down about the previously ons. 4. One was Laris is back. Wonder what that means. So yeah, I'm with you on that. The other was like I keep looking at Q's lapel, and it's like this black flower.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm assuming it has something to do with the rose that's in the stained glass.
Okay. I can see that maybe. I don't know if they're the same flower. I couldn't tell. I'd have to like look and see. But I'm wondering if it means something.
Nothing's accidental. That has. By the end of the series, we'll be like, motherfucker, it was in front of us the whole time. Yeah.
The other thing that was in the previous on was like when Captain Picard says, "Give me nav control," and then he like takes his time. It's like when your grandfather says, "Just let me type in the website address," and then they just like click it.
Just let me do it.
Click. It takes forever.
Yeah.
Instead of just
let me
tell me
it.
Just tell me where you want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone knows where your home address is. Let me just type it in for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was kind of a fun thing. Like, oh, I guess I could go back and send that. And that's if there's one good thing about previously ons, it's that if you missed something to send the first time, they give you the chance again.
It slaps it right there to do it again. Yeah, you're not wrong. Patronizing Picard and like, we need to get you somewhere warm while the ship heats up. How about you, old man? Just because she's a woman doesn't mean she's any more or less likely to get cold or hot.
Well, she was shivering.
But because the script told her to shiver. That's my entire problem is we must protect the woman. We must build cave fire. We must get the man to be protected. You're 9,000 years old, Picard. You need warmth as well. This isn't just... He could have just said, let's go and find somewhere warm, not this savior. Caveman, get fire.
Yeah. I mean, she did just give her mind over to the hive, so maybe...
Tell her to rest. Don't say...
He did. He does tell her to rest.
Yeah.
A bunch.
Leave it there.
So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're sensitive to it.
Yeah, I am.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'd send the shit out of that.
I didn't like his... I didn't like Picard's speech, like, we're all counting on you, Agnes. Like,
yeah, a bit weird, wasn't it?
And then she's like, Peachy, have you met me in a pinch? And he's like, yep, sure have. Let me just leave you with the Borg Queen. Bye!
Bye! It's such a... So, that's a great next sin to have, isn't it? Like, let's send old man Picard off. I don't care if he's a fleshy robot. Send him off to coordinates that could be in the middle of the Earth's core because she's like, I don't know what's there, but...
Bye!
Let's hope you don't get beamed halfway off a balcony and break your neck. But we'll leave you there. And also, very little way of getting back because the transporters are so hinky. And also, let's leave Agnes, who has just been assimilated, alone with the Borg Queen.
Perfect.
No.
Let's do it.
No.
Let's see it happen.
You're better off just propping Elnor up at the comm panel and just leaving him and the ship.
Oh my God. Brutal. I think I would send Agnes saying, how am I cruel to the Borg Queen?
You killed your boyfriend.
I know. I wrote down, you straight up murdered somebody. Now, she could say that she was insane. In fact, that's why she got off.
That's exactly it, yeah.
And didn't have to go to prison.
Mm-hmm.
But I was, how am I cruel?
Bruce Malek's called. He has an answer for you. Right, let's do it. Let's do the big one. And this is where I get massively corrected or people are punching the air saying, yes, tell me, Guinan. Really, really quick. Guinan and Picard do have this big, long history together. And it was beautifully bookended in season 6. They had a 2-parter at the end, which also has time travel as well. And long story short, Data's This is going to sound like one of those episodes I'm making up. Data's head is found in a cave in San Francisco.
How? Wait, hold on. Okay. What year is this?
In the year 2370, so during TNG's original run, Data's head is found in a cave in LA.
Why?
Or San Francisco, somewhere like that. So the Enterprise is recalled back to Earth, and instead of saying, hey, we found Data's head, they pull the Enterprise all the way back and then reveal it to Data and Picard. And they carbon date it, and it turns out it's about 300 years old.
Okay. I gotta just catch up here. So our Data and our Picard from TNG go back in time, or it's their normal timeline? So
in the year 2370,
that's like
Starfleet calls them and says, hey, we've got Data's head in a cave, but it's 300 years old.
And they're like, cool, we'll be right over.
Yeah, that's weird. My head is on my shoulders. So all that tells them is that sometime in the future, Data will be sent into the past where his head is removed. That's all they know.
Because it can't be a second Data.
No, it matches identically. They're just like, this is your head. This isn't Law's head. This isn't B4's head. This isn't another android. This is your head, Data. Like, it's got the birthmark on the back and everything.
He has a birthmark?
No, I was being silly. Sorry, that bit I was making up.
Well, now it all makes sense.
So they then start wondering, like, well, how did this happen? And basically they work out that aliens visited Earth in the past and were meddling around with things. Now, this tweaks Guinan, and Guinan has information about this. This is probably the wrong time to tell you all of this. So they eventually decide to go down to this planet where they find some timey-wimey temporal stuff. And Picard's just like...
a drink? Like they find a timey-wimey beverage or something?
No, timey-wimey, like just...
They find it.
They find this
like
cave
it's a fruit
that has
on a tree?
No, like this time portal thing.
They find a portal.
Yeah, there's like this time signature thing going on. But they don't find the portal straight away.
God, anyway, if there's not a timey-wimey drink at 10 forward...
There's going to need to be. So Picard says, look, I'm not going down on this mission. It's too dangerous. And Guinan says, you have to. And we find out that Guinan has more information about this than we know. And she says, if you don't go on this mission, we will never meet. So Picard goes back to the past with Data, blah, 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 all of that, and meets Guinan. But Guinan doesn't have a clue who he is.
Like today.
So that means can't happen twice.
It did happen twice.
But it did happen twice.
Yeah, because there's a just like there's the timey-wimey drink, there's also a memory wiper drink.
There's all kinds of weirdness about this because Picard looks the same. He's bald. Like, he looks... Yeah, there's 30 years of difference, but he looks the same. So Picard hiding his name really doesn't matter. Like, this Guinan... In fact, this Guinan... Yeah, it's confusing. You've now got 2 times where Guinan is meeting Picard for the first time. But somehow she knows this name, but the Guinan from TNG didn't.
And that one's 300 years in the future.
Exactly.
So between now and then, her memory is wiped of Picard.
Or
somehow.
Adjusted, or this never happened, or this is a whole new timeline. It's really confusing for me. Because, so the year that they go back to is like 1890 or something. So Guinan is in the year 1890 with Data's severed head. And that's the first time that Guinan meets Picard, but it's not the first time that Picard meets Guinan.
Listen, I'm going to need a chart. We have a huge whiteboard in this room. Yeah. I am so...
I may have to write this
confused.
down. Yeah. Shall I actually write it down on the whiteboard?
Yeah, I think we're going to need a chart. Something. Let me. Okay, no, let me just see if I can explain this. Okay. The year 2300 ish.
Yeah.
Picard and Data go to Earth to see a head that had been there for 300 years. Go back in time 300 years to see what happened, and there's aliens involved.
Yep.
Before they go through that portal to go back in time, Guinan's like, yeah, you got to do it because we're going to meet. So they actually met in 1800-ish. Yep. Guinan was there.
Yep.
And then now on Guinan's timeline, that would mean that in the year 2024, in this show, she would have already met Picard. So between that time and this time, something happened where her memory was wiped, or this is all bullshit.
Unless this Guinan is sent back in time to the 1800s.
And then meets him after this.
And then meets Picard after the events of this.
Which we will see in the next spin-off show called Guinan.
But that also doesn't make sense because the Guinan we see in the 1800s is completely clueless as to who Picard is.
Right.
Even visually.
And
so
which means she has to take the timey-wimey memory wiper drink.
There must be a memory wipe, or this is a new branching timeline, which is so screwy.
Yeah.
And it's not how time travel usually works.
No. But okay.
That's what broke me with Guinan. Like, it seemed
all
weird.
That broke you instantly.
Well, because I already knew.
You're so smart.
I already knew when Picard and Guinan met. So I'm like, we've already had this story. So as much as I love seeing this recast Guinan, you're doing another meeting again unless...
You're another boombox guy.
You're another boombox guy. Come on.
Wow.
Anyway, I don't know if any of that will make it into the edit.
That was great.
On to a more simple sin. The police car doesn't have an alarm.
Or the police car doesn't have a camera on the inside that would show them teleporting out.
And Raffi could have just opened the door.
It's just so much.
The transporter, like...
So much.
You've broken the timeline. Like, this butterfly effect is so dumb. And Aaron wanted us to clarify that the butterfly effect isn't just if you step on a butterfly that it will change the future. Your exact presence will change the future. So just the oxygen that you breathe and the air that you displace changes the future. Yeah. So there we go.
I would sin, I think, also with like the Borg situation. I think I would also try to sin, like, she was on the ground crawling and then she says, allow me, and all these tentacles come out. So we know she has tentacle power.
Yeah.
But suddenly she can't do that again. Like, Agnes is 2 feet away. Why not just tentacle her?
So the tentacles... So the biggest sin here is Agnes simply saying, I've limited your access. She is the Borg queen. Can she not adapt and rewrite the programs?
Of course she can, because she's doing that for the beaming stuff. Like,
but conveniently she can't.
They're like, yeah, could you just lower the heat for us? It's like asking Google to lower the temperature of the house and change the lighting. Like, Borg queen is Alexa right now.
Completely.
But she can do whatever she wants. So Agnes is right there, and we already know that she just needs a little USB port to the neck, and
to assimilate her. I don't. The only thing I can think is that maybe the Queen wants a willing participant. Like, she has done that with Picard, but it's
not to build her army. Not when she's so depleted.
She has no power right
desperate.
now. Yeah, exactly.
She wouldn't risk it.
Yeah, which is why I'm hoping that story goes somewhere that's easy to explain.
Where are the tentacles? I would send that.
Give me tentacles. Casual sex Deneé says, give me the tentacles.
Oh dear.
Hit the brakes. What? Trust me. Or you could just explain that you need the car to be still so you can transport them.
Crazy.
One of those, they managed to ram another cliche in where the problem you're avoiding explaining to save time would have been quicker to explain the problem you're trying to avoid. So dumb.
That's it from me.
Well, I've got a classic one where they are seated in the car, and yet when they are transported, they are standing up. The magic of transporters that put you in the orientation you need to be in.
I would have never thought about that.
Oh, it happens so much. It's like, quick, emergency, beam them out of the ship, and they're standing upright. I was like, weren't you seated? Like, why?
I didn't give you permission to change my leg position.
Exactly. I need transporter consent, please. Okay, let's head to our final stop, which is the captain's ready room. Welcome to the Captain's Ready Room, where we hear our prediction for the rest of the season and bask in our Q-like glory if anything we have previously predicted has come true.
You're nailing it this season.
I'm doing pretty damn good.
You should be super impressed with yourself.
Pretty proud.
There's some Agnes winks and nods we've talked about, the 15 thing that you had. Like, you really pulled that out last week, and then it came up multiple times. Even in my notes, I was like, Ian was right. Must feel pretty good.
There's one other one as well, which was the Q sickness thing is kind of getting towards the right direction.
Possibly.
Guinan being involved with the Watcher somehow. I didn't get it exactly right, but it made sense. And now that I'm thinking about it, I remember seeing 10 Forward in daylight. So the 10 Forward Avenue in the trailer was in daylight. So subconsciously, I knew we were going back there. So I might be cheating a little.
Or maybe they shouldn't put smudge stuff
in the fucking trailers. I've got one big one that I think is going to be right. Laris isn't Laris. That's just a body that the Watcher has pulled from Picard's mind to be trustworthy. Kind of racist that they lost the ears, thinking that Picard couldn't love her unless she was human. But maybe it's just being really relatable. So I don't think this is anything to do with Laris other than I picked a body that you would be comfortable with.
That, or it's Laris is Laris. It is her body, and every single morning she wakes up and glues ears to her face.
It seems like that's some explaining to do to Shabon. Maybe Shabon found out and she killed him.
Oh, see, there you go.
Found out about the ears.
I think you're right, though. I'm being silly, but I think you're right.
Yeah.
That there's a chance that it's like a mimic of some kind, because they talked about they left that future. In the bad future, where Laris was the one who she like died in a battle.
Yeah, she was leading the revolution on Romulus. Yeah,
so now they're back in time. Yep, I think that's probably right.
Yeah, that's fair.
Makes sense to me.
Any predictions?
Let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
Last week scared me.
You switched that part of your brain off now?
This week, I just watched it. I was like, don't think about anything. Don't think about anything. Don't think about anything.
Oh, the leaves are brown.
So
leaves
freaky.
Are brown. Yeah, that was weird. That was weird.
I have nothing from this week that's going to be prevalent.
It kind of sums up the episode, doesn't it? There was some real highs and then some real blands. I only have one other, and I was really looking at the opening credits because I'm just like, damn it, there's something else in there.
Oh, I have one from the opening credits. I just remembered.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be water involved somehow. Go on.
Great. Oh, no, I have two more predictions. Sorry. The hexagon.
Please say water.
Why? Yeah, actually, you did remind me. Like, I'll tell you why. Water.
Because of the whales?
Always the whales. Honestly, if anything to do with the whales is included, considering the punk... If the punk is behind it all along and he set things into motion during the one with the whales, just insanity. That actor, like, he had no idea saying yes to that role would change his life. It's great. I want to meet that man. I'm going to try and find him. Like the hexagons, there's hexagons everywhere, or like the 3D hexagons. I don't know what polyhedrons or whatever. I guess everything's a polyhedron. They duplicate. And at the minute... To begin with, I just assumed that was a hangover from season 1, where you had Sodi and Daj being duplicates. But everything is so deliberate, it like kind of duplicates, and I think that's going to represent the Borg expanding. And then they kind of like duplicate, and then turn into the DNA of humans. So I'm just thinking there's some kind of origin of the Borg story that we're going for here, and I think they're going to accidentally create the Borg somehow. I don't know where exactly I'm going with that, but some choice that Picard makes. I don't know. There's something there where I think the Borg and the humans, there's going to be some link between their creation story. I don't know.
That'd be really cool.
Really fucked up as well.
In the DNA, did you notice the red dots that I mentioned last time?
I did see the red dots. Like, that makes a lot of sense.
And then there's also the dots separate from the DNA and continue out forward. And then they go into that mechanical circle that turns into the light. Yeah. And then that turns into the rings, which has some water underneath it, which turns into like the ship going across the plane. So like when I was watching that part, I was thinking about whatever they're trying to say is that these little dots are like, we're almost following the dot through time. So I just don't know what the dot represents. So it could be what you're talking about.
We now have clues about destinies and timelines being protected. So maybe that red dot or something is the one timeline that needs to be protected and salvaged by the Guardians, or the Watchers or whatever. I did see Picard's face change as well, and I think, if I'm right, that picture of Picard where he has like the black ink all over him is a younger version as well. Like, there is something
That's what I told
there.
you. Yeah, he's younger. There's it's like a Borg face, but it's like younger and android-like, but it's really...
Something's going to come back to him being assimilated, and I just want to pick apart at the Queen storyline. That's the interesting bit for me.
Just so you know, the guy who plays the guy on the bus, his name's Kirk Thatcher.
Kirk Thatcher. Of course, his first name is Kirk.
His name is Kirk Thatcher, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to find him on Twitter right now.
He is going to blow up this week. I guarantee it. We'll try and get him on the show.
He currently has 6,762 followers on Twitter.
He's going to get 63 soon. Captain's Pod is going to follow him. That's incredible.
Writer, director, actor of Muppets Haunted Mansion,
That's incredible.
Punk on bus the Punk on Bus Trek for and Picard.
Yes!
Creature Shop Challenge and Return of the Jedi and Gremlins.
That's incredible.
Are all the ones that he's mentioned.
This is a Captain's Pod goal that I am starting right now. Get the punk on the show. I love it so much. So the other prediction I have, and I'm so disappointed I didn't make it in episode 2. It's just one of those things that came up and I just ignored it as background noise, and it's the Europa mission. So there are adverts for the Europa mission last week, the week before, but it's really in your face this time. They stick it on the bus. There's a newspaper article that Q is reading saying, will 2024 be the dawn of humanity returning to the stars? So in the history of Star Trek, I can't remember the relevance of the Europa mission. I think it's one of the stepping stones to us colonizing Mars or Jupiter or heading out back into space. So I think part of this has got to be that the Europa mission is sabotaged, and that sets us off on a different journey where instead of doing space exploration, we're focused into maybe colonizing and being violent and stuff. Something to do with that mission is important. It's not a coincidence that Q is dressed in a Europa mission outfit.
Nope. But missing is his flower pin.
Mm-hmm. And just his snap. It's like,
that does not
that's
go well.
Unexpected. But it wasn't. Really, was it now? Well, I think that's it for this week. Any further predictions?
I predict that the next episode will be one that I enjoy.
Yay! Well, we've had 3 great. We've had 1 there.
Amazing.
It's been much better. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. It's from me and...
Did you just snap?
Yeah,
like
I did.
Q?
I Q snap.
It's Afkoff from me.
Did we have... What was that again?
It's time travel sickness, which I'm feeling.
Oh, yes. No, perfect. Right, well, it's that from Deneé. Live long and Podsper.
Thanks for listening. Want to connect with the show? Our hailing frequencies are always open through captainspod@cinemasins.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Do you really want to taste it? Oh, my knees. I think there's enough record of how bad my knees are in most.
On Captain's Pod?
Not on Captain's Pod.
Well, then let it be known.
Right. Okay, everyone, I have bad knees. Are we good? Oh, my knees. Yeah, I have the knees of Batman, but without any of the accolades or like, achievements to my name.
That's
it's
still
just
pretty
bad
cool
knees.
that you have something the same as Batman.
Yeah. Well, I have an A in my name as well. That's the same.
But his name is Bruce.
Well, shit. Yes. Wayne Whittington. Both of our surnames begin with a W.
There you are. Mm-hmm.
Got it. I am basically Batman. Nice.
So, I have a question about your shirt.
Yes. Now, there's a reason why I have only just started to wear this shirt.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The shirt that I'm wearing has... will you describe it, Deneé? You're looking at it.
Like
There are 2 things you're going to notice about it.
Okay.
Is my prediction.
Oh, okay. So, are you going to write them down?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Done.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing are the 2 holes.
Okay, that wasn't one of the things.
They're in the exact same spot on either sleeve.
It's really weird, isn't it?
It's one circular pinprick out of the arm of a short sleeve T-shirt.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, is it because you pick at that part? Is it why are there holes?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I honestly don't know. I assumed it was a moth until I'm just going to keep eating as well.
Yeah, that's great.
I assumed it was a moth, but it's like there were 2 moths that were competing with each other. Just like, nom, 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 nom.
Yeah, the other thing is that the sleeves appear to be the sort of sleeves that roll up and then they're stitched. Mm-hmm. However, your sleeves have now rolled down except for the stitch that's holding them up in one part.
Yes.
So why not cut the stitch and then just let it be a regular T-shirt? Because right now it's like a pinned up T-shirt.
Because I'm worried that there's going to leave an identical hole on either side of each sleeve.
But then it's already part of what you got going on. Is that one of the things you thought I would notice?
Yes. So my 2 notes were the sleeves and the flag, because on the front is an American flag of the t-shirt. Yeah. And
I like how you just showed it to me as if I didn't know that.
Just in case you hadn't. Wait, hang on a minute. Let me just stand like this.
Okay.
Do you know what it is now?
For those of you at home, Ian has the American flag is hanging downward, and he just made himself go
sideways
to
My
look
knees.
like it was waving in the wind.
My knees. No, I just wore this because I actually like the fit of this t-shirt. It's very comfortable. I've had it for, I think, 10 years, something like that. It's
that
an old...
explains the moths.
It explains the multiple holes. I mean, it came with 4 holes already.
Right.
But they're your standard t-shirt holes. The top, middle, side to side holes.
The torso hole.
Yeah, the torso hole and the appendage hole.
And the neck hole.
Yes, yeah.
Your neck isn't an appendage.
My arms are. How do your t-shirts work, Deneé?
They don't. That's why I don't wear them.
That's fair. T-shirts are bullshit. Watch us wreck the chair. Watch us wreck the chair. Watch us wreck the chair right.
How's your fruit?
It's great. You want... Oh, it was sour. Just as you mentioned, how is my fruit? I bite into the most sour blueberry I've ever soured.
God, I wish I had cool like blueberry. That sounds so much better than blueberry.
Blueberry.
What word do you wish I would say differently?
Horror.
Horror?
Horror.
Horror?
Yes, like that. Horror.
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 How often do I say horror?
Horror. I just watch a horror movie.
I never watch horror.
You never watch that. No, you never say that.
So horror is one of them.
Horror. Caramel.
Caramel?
Caramel.
But when you say that at the other way, I'm confused. Are you asking me to say caramel or caramel?
No, I'm telling you how you say it.
No, I know how I say the words. I'm wondering which ones I should adapt.
Caramel.
Because I've already started saying cheeky.
Yes, cheeky is spreading.
It is.
I mean, you don't want to...
Caramel.
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 Yeah, caramel. No, caramel. It's lost meaning now. Caramel. Aluminum.
How many times did you say caramel?
Caramel.
You chucked a blueberry at my face.
I did. Do you want a raspberry? That's messier.
Don't throw it. But don't.
Incoming.
No. By the way, your ship made it out of the oven.
Oh, I made a ship. There was no we. So we were playing with clay at Deneé's house with her daughter. And we were making turtles. Technically tortoises. But anyway, Aaron made this really, really fancy tortoise that blew mine out of the water. I looked at mine, really impressive. It really impressed. And then he whips out this like multicolored David Attenborough inspired beautiful tortoise. And I went, fuck that, and made an Enterprise.
Did you though?
Well, I did. So my first attempt was the Enterprise D. But the Enterprise D is beautiful but very top heavy. So the saucer section was going through an involuntary separation from the rest of the ship.
So Aaron took this picture of you constructing.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And I accidentally clicked the Google Lens button.
Right.
And Google thought that I was looking at French fries or antlers of some kind based on your ship. It didn't think that your ship was a ship. It thought it was French fries.
Damn it, Google. I've never been judged so much. It might be because I'm holding the palette stick thing. That looks like a French fry. My ship is impeccable.
It is.
It's not exactly the same class as the Enterprise.
It is Caucasian flesh toned.
Yes,
so
and...
it's very antler-like.
Yes.
And it does look like French fries. The nacelles are very fry-like. But you know what? After it's painted...
Wait till they're painted. It'll look ridiculous.
We'll post pictures in the Discord.
We'll do. We will do, definitely. In fact, we will put it on the new Captain's Pod Twitter as well.
Hey, there
which we'll mention in the main show, which you've already heard.
Ian working on Sinterprise.
Yeah. I guess it looks just off enough to be the Sinterprise.
I don't want that to be our ship.
Oh, it's so broken. It turns into battle and everyone's just like,
it's like something
who's got that ship? Why is it so wonky? I forgot to mention this last week. Do you know the other reason why Rick and Morty being mentioned in the episode is so broken?
Why?
Because Mike McMahon is one of the supervising producers and helps out a lot with Rick and Morty and does a lot of writing. He has written Star Trek Lower Decks, which is another Star Trek TV show. How?
Also, if you can hear it in his voice, also ow is in there.
Ow! Like, Mike McMahon knows that he knows about Star Trek, and he's in Star Trek Picard now. I don't like it, Deneé.
We should talk about it some more.
We should. Stop it.
Bring my prompter closer to my eyeballs.
I can't read the auto cue.
Captain's Pod, Stardate, whatever the two, Todd.
Why do you mock my Stardate system so much? Casual sex. What?
It just popped into my head.
Captain's Pod, casual sex. Wow.
Oh, no. Do you mean to do a different one?
No, we're keeping
Oh,
that. You can do a
God.
different one, but that's staying.
What is that? What is it?
The universal translator isn't working.
Oh, is that your language? It's so much tongue movement. It's so much exterior tongue.
Okay. What'd you say about my mother?
Oh, crap. It's hard to understand how to do it. The nuance is so subtle. I think what I love most about this is realizing that the listener is going to come out of casual sex into if it was actually in the right order.
Captains. Nope, done that bit.